Hi guys, welcome back to another tutorial. Sorry this one is a couple of days late. I ended up in hospital, so I didn't get a chance to get it edited and up the other day for you. This is just going to be a quick little video on how I set up the composition of portraits that have 2 or more animals in. So I do it using Photoshop, and I'm just going to show you how I do it. So I'm going to close this one. So I open Photoshop and I just click new. And I then pick just a size of paper that's the same sort of proportions as the what I'm working on. So I'm working on a 9 by 12, so it's going to be a rectangle. So as long as the proportions are right, it doesn't really matter if it's A4 or A5 or whatever you pick, because I'm not going to be printing it. So I've just gone with A3 and it comes up portrait. So I just go to image and then go image rotation and rotate it clockwise. Obviously if you're working something where you want it to be portrait, then you can leave it, but I'm doing it this way. I then go to where has it gone? So I've got Finder open over here, and I just have my 2 references here. So I'm just gonna click and drag one, and then I'm gonna grab the other one and drag that over as well. So I have both of my references now in Photoshop. So what I'm going to do to start is I'm going to hide the top layer. So I'm going to work, obviously these 2 are quite nice pictures. They are both pretty clear and they're both nicely set because they're facing each other. So I'm just going to close the top one for a minute. So I just click on the little eye and it gets rid of the top reference. So for this I am then going to go over to my little eraser tool, just click it, and I've got a soft, okay, so it will say it's got to be, it'll come up with a little box, so I just press OK, and then I've got the eraser set so it has a soft edge, so it's not completely harsh, and I'm then just gonna go around and clear this all. I really need to get a mouse mat, so I'm just gonna, for the most part, get rid of the background. Now I'm keeping the edge quite soft here, just because I don't want to lose any of those little fine details. I can see a few little fine hairs around. I'm going to make the brush a little bit bigger. I'm just going to make the brush just a little bit bigger. That's better. And then I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to leave not leave any of her neck this side. So I'm just going to move it all around and just keep doing this until I've got rid of all the background that I want. So I've roughly got a layout, or I've got a clear image which is just of her face. Obviously if you're working on face and body, you would do this and get rid of the background and just leave in what you plan on drawing. So I'm also just going to clean up some of these edges just around here, just so it's a nice shape. So now that I've got that one, I'm just going to move her slightly over to this side for a minute. Leave her there. Let's just do this a little bit. And then I am going to click on the top layer and I'm going to hide this one. So just press the eye again, and then I'm going to bring back the top one. So then I'm going to do exactly the same thing. So I'm just going to quickly get rid of the background. This one's a bit easier. Her ears are slightly different, so where in the last one her ears were quite wispy, this one is quite soft and curly. She's got these sort of really soft ears. Now I don't like the collar that she's got on, so I will be drawing that out. So I'm just going to go around like this. I also think this one's quite a bit darker than the other reference. They weren't taken together, so the lighting is slightly different. So I'm going to edit this one in a minute, so they look more similar. So once I've done that, so now I've got my outline. Now I've got this sort of rough outline of the 2 dogs. I'm going to bring back the first one as well. So now I've got them both, and I am going to click up here to the one where you can move it around, and I'm going to move this one over here, and I'm going to click back onto the layer which has my first one, and I'm going to press Control T, and then I'm going to press the Shift button and resize this first dog, because I want them to both be similar sizes. I don't want one to be bigger than the other. So once I've resized her, so she takes up sort of half of the page, I'm going to just press the Enter button so that it lets go, and I'm going to click back to the layer with the other portrait and do exactly the same. So Control T and then hold Shift, and then just shrink it down a bit until they're similar sizes, so a little bit more, say like that. And then I'm just going to move this over as well, then press Enter. So now that I've got sort of a rough idea, I'm then just going to keep tweaking the size until there's a little gap in between them. I think I might be adding the names to these portraits as well, so I want to make sure there's some space at the bottom. So I'm just going to move this first one over here, then I'm going to click back to the other layer and resize this one a little bit. So same again, Control T, and then hold the Shift as I move it. Holding Shift keeps the proportions all the same, so it doesn't end up like with too long or too wide, so the head's a funny shape. So I'm going to have these two sitting like this, and I think this first one needs to be a bit smaller still. She looks a bit bigger now. Because the first dog on the left, her ears are longer. So there we go. I'd say that's about right. So then you can move them around to how you want them. I do occasionally, if you press Control T and then hover around the corner, you'll get a sort of little angled one, and you can turn them slightly. So I want them both to sort of be looking up a little bit. So then I'm going to click back on the first one, Control T, and then I'm going to hover over the corner and just twist a little bit so they're both looking up. And then I'm going to just move her over a smidge. So there we go. So now I have my rough positioning. I'm not too bothered about going to the edge, because you can press the crop button and then drag it out a little bit so that they've got a bit more of an edge, and then just press Enter and it should work. Is it going to? Yeah, but for some reason it's done the background pink. So I'm just going to go to the paint bucket and make sure it's white, and then just make the background white. So like that. So now I've got a bit of, why is it, well, I don't know why it's doing it pink. I'm not entirely sure why it's doing it pink. Very odd, but there we go. Now I've got sort of a bit of a bigger piece that I can be working on. I'm just going to move this one over a little bit. There we go. So that's perfect to how I want it. So now I'm going to click back to the layer with the dog on the right, so I can just alter the colours a little bit. So I go Image and I go Adjustments, and then I go to Levels for this. Just want to bring that one in a little bit. And I'm gonna, no, that's making it too dark, so I'm just gonna have a little tweak until it's sort of a bit more how the lighting is on the other one. So I'm gonna go Curves next, and I'm going to just tweak a little bit. So just clicking on either side just gives me a little bit of wiggle room to adjust it. It's still too dark. So obviously you want her to be nice and bright, because the other dog's quite bright. So there we go. So the lighting now looks a bit more similar on both of them. I may try and alter this one as well. So I'm just going to go brightness. I'm just going to up the brightness just a smidge. Yeah, just a tiny bit. I don't like portraits that look greyed out or look a bit dull. I like them to be nice, quite nice and vibrant. So I'm then just going to do that. And that is quite simply how I do it. I'm then just going to get my eraser again and just sort of clean up some of these edges down here. You can merge the two together if you want. If you want to print things off, you can obviously save them as JPEG. I I tend to save them as JPEG, then send them over to my iPad, so I can use my iPad as a sort of where are my references, so I don't need to look. So for that, you would just go File, Save As. It's going to take a minute. I don't want it to go in the dog file, but put it over here. So then you just put like references, and then just go down and save it as a JPEG or a PNG, either one. I don't really, this is not really important how I save things when I'm just using them as references. So then I just press save, and yep, I want the quality to be nice and high, and that is it. I do occasionally, if things are a bit too dark, open them up in Lightroom, and then I can go in with a spot tool. So I may do another video on how I do that, because that sometimes helps if things are a bit too dark, but I will show you how to do that as well. But I hope you have enjoyed this video. Sorry it's a bit late, and if I sound a bit tired, I apologise for that as well. If you found this video helpful, please give me a little thumbs up, I would really appreciate it, and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and I will see you soon for some more tutorials. Okay, bye!